icLAAo. I can't lose. No reality where I lose. Ever. Today is day 3, January 3rd, 2026 of the 100 push-up, 100 squat progressive challenge. You need to let go of all distractions, because to do anything in life you need focus, and distractions will never allow you to have focus. So anything that's distracting you, you need to let go of it. And that being said, let's get started for today.
A man whose words were so provocative, so radically different from anything the world had heard, that they still echo uncomfortably in lecture halls, religious institutions, and governments today. God is dead. There are no facts, only interpretations. What does not kill me makes me stronger. These aren't just quotes, they are philosophical bombs, and they're not meant to comfort you, they're meant to wake you up. Nietzsche wasn't interested in making people feel good. He wanted to force people to see the world as it truly is, without illusions, without filters, without lies. This video isn't about watered-down philosophy. It's not going to give you feel-good aphorisms or surface-level self-help tricks. What you're about to explore are the very ideas that got Nietzsche cast out of the academic world, condemned by the church, and misinterpreted by history itself. Ideas that society doesn't want you to think about too deeply, because if you did, you might start questioning everything. You might stop obeying. You might stop conforming. You might start thinking for yourself. And in a world built on systems of control, whether religious, moral, political, or cultural, there's nothing more dangerous than someone who truly thinks for themselves. Nietzsche's work dismantles everything we're taught to accept without question. Morality? He said most of it was born out of weakness and resentment. Religion? A crutch for those too afraid to face the reality of life without a cosmic father figure. Truth? A grenade into the entire idea of morality. He didn't just question what we considered moral, he questioned why we even had morality in the first place. He asked, who benefits from these rules? Who created them? And what if morality itself was based on weakness, fear, and resentment, not strength, truth, or goodness? Nietzsche believed that the traditional morality most people followed wasn't noble or enlightened at all. It was a coping mechanism, a clever trick invented by the weak to hold back the strong. He called it slave morality. According to Nietzsche, there are two basic types of morality: master morality and slave morality. Master morality comes from those who are powerful, independent, and self-assured. These people, whether they're leaders, warriors, artists, or thinkers, don't ask for permission to live as they see fit. They create their own values. For them, good means strong, creative, courageous, self-reliant. Bad means weak, cowardly, or uninspired. In contrast, slave morality is born out of powerlessness. It's the worldview of those who feel oppressed, small, or incapable of changing their circumstances. Instead of celebrating strength and ambition, slave morality flips the script. It says that being humble, obedient, and self-sacrificing is good, while being powerful, proud, or successful is evil.
50 squats.
But Nietzsche saw this not as virtue. But Nietzsche's message wasn't meant to be funny. It was tragic. He was pointing out that in the modern age, belief in God, especially in the Christian God, was slowly eroding. Science, reason, and secular thinking had replaced the need for a divine authority in many people's lives. Yet, despite this, people were still living as if nothing had changed. They clung to the same moral values, the same cultural habits, the same worldview, but without the foundation that had once justified them. So when Nietzsche said God is dead, he wasn't just talking about religion. He was talking about the collapse of a whole system of meaning. For centuries, people looked to God for answers about right and wrong, purpose and destiny, life and death. Religion provided not only hope but structure. It gave society a shared story, a sense of moral direction, a feeling that life had ultimate meaning. But if God no longer holds that central place, if he's no longer the author of truth, then what's left? That's the terrifying question Nietzsche was asking. What happens to a civilization when the story that held it together is no longer believable? This is the part many people misunderstand. Nietzsche wasn't celebrating the death of God, he was mourning it. He saw it as a kind of spiritual catastrophe. He wrote that people had wiped away the entire horizon, that we were now adrift in a world without clear direction. Without God, there is no absolute truth, no divine justice, no cosmic reward or punishment, no guarantee that life has a purpose. And Nietzsche feared that most people weren't ready to face that reality.
75 squat.
They would either fall into despair, or worse, try to keep the old morality, no divine backup, ignored, misquoted, or stripped of their deeper meaning. Because if people truly understood what he was saying, they might start asking questions no one wants to answer. The death of God, in Nietzsche's eyes, was not the end of philosophy. It was the beginning. It was a doorway into a new kind of life, one where meaning isn't handed to you. You must forge it with your own hands. But that's not a path for everyone. It requires strength, clarity, and above all, courage. Nietzsche believed most people would turn away from that challenge. They would retreat into dogma, distractions, or despair. But for those who don't, those willing to confront the terrifying freedom of a world without God, Nietzsche's philosophy becomes a guide, not to destruction, but to rebirth, not to emptiness, but to authenticity. That is the real meaning behind God is dead. Not a slogan, not a joke, a mirror. And when you look into it, the question isn't just what you believe. It's whether you're ready to live without illusions, whether you're ready to become the author of your own life. One of the most misunderstood and misused concepts in all of Nietzsche's philosophy is the idea of the will to power. Many people assume, often without ever reading Nietzsche, that this idea is about domination, about crushing others to get ahead, about using violence, cruelty, or force to impose your will on the world. And in part, that misconception isn't entirely their fault. Nietzsche's writing is intense, poetic, and sometimes cryptic. He didn't always define his terms clearly, and he often used metaphor and irony in ways that confused even his closest readers. But the biggest reason people misunderstand the will to power is because others have distorted it intentionally. Especially in the 20th century, this idea was twisted beyond recognition by people who wanted to use Nietzsche's name and reputation to justify horrific acts of control and violence.